Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 218 review. Let's talk about it. But before we get into it, allow me to introduce myself. I am Northstar and I cover anime, gaming, and comic related material. If you're interested in the content and you want to see more, consider subscribing. Now without further ado, let's get into the video. So before we hop into Chapter 218, let's do a quick little recap of Chapter 217, the fight between Sukuna and YOROZOU. So for those of you who do not remember, Sukuna and YOROZOU are fighting because YOROZOU is inhabiting Megumi's sister's body. And Sukuna wants to kill Megumi's sister because that will break Megumi, specifically using Megumi's own technique, the 10 Shadows. Now, we don't get too much information on Sukuna and his complete application of how he uses the 10 Shadows, but we do get a glimpse of what YOROZOU'S curse technique is later towards the end of the chapter. We also get to hear about her motives and why she wants to fight Sukuna, which is for him to marry her. So she locks him in a binding vow and they commence their battle. So for those of you who do not remember what YOROZOU'S curse technique is, it is curse technique creation, or rather curse technique construction. Now we do get a brief little explanation of what it does and what exactly it is and how she uses it. She makes liquid metal armor and makes it more dense and, increases its volume and uses that to make armor around her body and, produce different effects. Now we do get a more in-depth explanation of this in the next chapter. Chapter 218. Here we pick up with YOROZOU during the Heian period, and she's basically trying to figure out how to better use her curse technique in a more efficient way so she isn't using up too much energy. So that may sound familiar to some of you guys who are familiar with the show or the manga, because this isn't the first time we've seen this technique. We've actually seen someone else have it, and that is Mai Zenin. Now, if you guys remember back to the Kyoto versus Tokyo arc where we see the two schools facing off against one another in the sorcerer battles, etc., we learn about Mai's technique for the first time, and that is the creation of material objects using her cursed energy. Now, since Mai lacks a lot of cursed energy and her output's really low, she's only able to create a bullet once a day because other than that, she'll probably kill herself. I could go through the trouble of trying to explain the rest, but I'm just going to let Mai explain it for herself. So yeah, as you can see, Mai isn't very good with it, and that's just because of her lack of curse energy, which means she doesn't have a lot to use to create constructs. But we already knew about the limitations and, the things that come with this technique. Difference is though, YOROZOU is a much more skilled sorcerer. She has way more cursed energy, and she's probably going to be able to, well, not even probably, we know for a fact she uses it better than Mai because she's just smarter than Mai. We can tell from this panel right here. So back during the Heian era, we learned that YOROZOU spent a lot of time studying insects because insects are really efficient at their jobs. Despite their small frames and the lack of energy they may have, they happen to, get the most done with what little reserves they have. And she pretty much took that and applied that to her technique to create this insect armor carapace out of this liquid metal, basically getting the most bang for her buck when it comes to this creation technique. This insect carapace technique is what gained her a lot of notoriety during the Heian period and pretty much gave YOROZOU her name. From then on, we see the two fight it out, and it's looking pretty good on YOROZOU'S end, she's holding her own really well with this insect carapace technique. It's really giving off a good impression that wow, she's really about this shit for real. But let's continue, because we know Sukuna isn't, it's Sukuna, so what can you honestly do, right? So the fight continues between Megumi and YOROZOU, and we get to see Sukuna using 10 Shadows way better than we've ever seen Megumi use. And it's kind of weird. It's weird how he uses it. It's more like a liquidy, shadowy appendage, like tendrils and spikes and, just liquidy mass of shadows. It's not really taking any true form like we usually see Megumi do. And then we get to see him use more Shinigami, this time summoning some type of deer, which happens to use reverse curse technique to heal people, which in this case heals Sukuna's hand from blocking, YOROZOU'S kick earlier. So YOROZOU actually figures out why Sukuna is using the 10 Shadows technique the way he is, and it gives us an explanation as to, again, why the 10 shadows is so liquidy, why it's so fluid, like we've seen in chapter 217 and in this chapter. And it is because Sukuna is using 10 shadows to expand it outward at the cost of having the Shikigami be able to fight autonomously from each other. So what that means is basically just being able to fight independently of Sukuna / Megumi, right? So when Megumi would ever use his Shikigami like Nue or Demon Dog or Orochi, etc., they would all be able to fight independently of him, basically making it a 2-on-1 without, you know, him having to think about his Shikigami's next move. But here, Sukuna is giving that up in exchange for more range in the battle and more flexibility in his moves and what he wants to do. Now, this works really well for Sukuna because, again, he has so much curse energy, so much experience. He's an overall better sorcerer than Megumi, so it just works in his favor. It's a better use of the technique for him than it is for Megumi. Now, if Megumi ever is freed from this possession, I would love to see like how he incorporates this into his fighting style moving forward. But it is pretty cool to see, you know, the different applications of this technique and what makes it so good. So now we're getting towards the end of the chapter, and basically it's not looking good for YOROZOU. As you can see, she's not holding up very well. Her insect carapace is falling apart from the constant barragement of Shikigami being thrown at her, including Max Elevant, which you see right here in this panel. But this is something I wanted to talk about. So last review of chapter 217 that I did, I thought that Sukuna was going to be summoning General Maharaga, but I was wrong. Because as you can see, he just has the wheel above his head, and if you don't remember, the wheel is how General Maharaga adapts. Anytime he takes damage, and he a considerable amount of damage, the wheel above him turns and it allows him to adapt. So what I'm thinking is that Sukuna was able to, instead of summoning Maharaga, just apply the wheel and its conditions to himself, allowing him to adapt to any damage that he might take during this battle. But we just haven't seen him do it yet. I had no idea he could do this, which kind of threw me for a loop because I genuinely thought he was just going to be summoning General Maharaga, but I was wrong, and I just wanted to point that out because that's pretty crazy. So the chapter ends with YOROZOU'S armor being broken by Max Elephant, and she's looking pretty fatigued while Sukuna's looking relatively unfazed by the entire fight. And she's interrogating him about love like she was in chapter 216 and 217. And yeah, that's when she comes to some kind of realization that, oh, he knows about love or something like that. And I'm not gonna lie, this part kind of confused me. I had no idea what she was talking about. I think they're trying to suggest that Sukuna actually does love somebody, and that YOROZOU finds it hard to believe that he could love anybody but her. So she's like, there's no way you know about love. I'll show you the true meaning of love. But if anybody else has a better understanding of what that means, please let me know in the comments below, because I'm not gonna lie, that was confusing to me a bit. And that's going to conclude the review of chapter 218 of Jujutsu Kaisen. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I really do appreciate you guys watching this video. I'm sorry that this is going up so late from when the chapter actually came out. It's been about a couple days, I'm not gonna lie. Just been going through a lot of stuff in real life, and it's been taking a toll, so it's kind of affected my my work ethic when it comes to certain things. But I'm going to be hopping right back into it, make sure I'm pushing out content for you guys. I just want to say thank you if you're here, and if you've been continuing to watch, and if you're a reoccurring fan of the channel. Please leave comments below. I will reply. I love talking to you guys, love engaging with you guys, and yeah, I just want to bring you guys with me as we grow the channel. So thank you for being here, thank you for watching. Be on the lookout, then I'm going to be doing the next chapter review really soon. It comes out in about 2 days from when this video goes up. I think maybe like 1 day now. It's probably already out in Japan, but yeah, thank you. It's been Northstar. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.